Just wanted to make a quick recording, talking about or thinking about just random ramblings that have gone in my brain about football. I was talking to my friend this evening about Marcus Rashford. I remember two seasons ago, or the last couple of seasons, I was really getting onto him because I think one of the seasons he had, this is off the top of my head, he had a decent season. I was thinking he has to kick on from here, otherwise he's going to become like a, no disrespect to Rashford, but like a Walcott, someone who had ability, never improved, basically nicked living with massive contracts. Don't get me wrong, all these players are top in it. They're all good enough to have made it this far, but Rashford just wasn't getting better. And this video hopefully can explain what's going on with him. So let's have a look at it, and I'll give you my thoughts.
How good is it to see Marcus Rashford back in form? The United striker just can't stop scoring at the moment, and it's heartwarming to see a smile back on his face. But it hasn't been an easy year for the English forward. It was downhill for him.
Look at this. Wait, look at this. This is Slim Rashford. This is Hench Rashford. Slim Rashford. Wait. Slim Rashford. Hench Rashford. Already, development has been there. That previous bit was young Rashford developing, upcoming. And this is Hench Rashford. Alright, let's go.
Famous penalty miss at the Euros final, and he's faced personal issues and dips in form ever since. So how has he turned it all back around? Join us as we look at the full and incredible rise of Marcus Rashford. Stick with us until the end to see how he overcame all of the many obstacles he faced in 2022. A bad night at Wembley. Everyone knows the story of England at the 2020 Euros. If you somehow missed it, the Three Lions made it to the final. They held Italy to a penalty shootout at 1-1. Rashford was one of the players to bravely step up during sudden death, but the Italian keeper Gianluigi Donnarumma saved his penalty.
Saved? Let's go back. I'm sure that wasn't a save. He hit the post, mate. This is a bit dodgy.
But the Italian keeper Gianluigi Donnarumma saved his penalty. Rashford was holding back tears as his country lost the game and football didn't come home. He then received an insane amount of racial abuse online. Wild. In an interview months after the game, Rashford said that the abuse would never happen to three white guys.
Does he have a point there? I can't think of recent penalty takers that miss for England off the top of my head right now, but yeah, it's kind of mad how the tabloids and that, I say tabloids, just anybody now, or fans or whatever, I've seen blatant examples of it being disproportionately non-white players getting abuse for maybe not performing or just not winning. I've never seen anybody get onto Harry Kane, and he's not always perfect in terms of performance at tournaments, etc. So maybe they might have a point there.
He even had a mural dedicated to him in Withington vandalised.
Jesus.
But people quickly covered the graffiti with love hearts and fan mail, and a street artist even returned it to...
Do you know what? That is love, you know. Look at all of that. All the little boys and girls, people in Manchester just showing bare love in that. That's real. You know, I liked Rashford for what he done in COVID and that, and I was hoping he would just get better. I mean, I don't support Man United, but I just like to see the man them get their money and kick ball and do well. So that's probably why I was like a bit hard on his development, because I always thought he would go on to do more than what he was doing, and now he just looks like, to me, he looks like a beast. I don't know how good he's going to be, but he looks like a beast. But let's crack on.
To its original form. A total of 11 people were arrested for the racial abuse of Rashford, teammate Jadon Sancho and Arsenal's Bukayo Saka. For once, justice was actually served, but that was nearly 2 years ago now. Rashford has been through a lot since then. Shoulders and surgery.
This is what I wanted to know about, because I remember before one of the big tournaments, I don't know if it's the World Cup that just went or the Euro 2020, he had surgery, and I was questioning why was he even picked. He wasn't playing well for his club. His club was a bit in disarray, the way it was run and the football they were playing, and I was thinking, why do you still keep getting picked? You should just pick someone else just having a better time of it, is in a better form. And I heard about this shoulder injury and he went to the tournament with it, but we'll see what they got to say about it.
When we looked at Saka's rise after the Euros, he kicked straight on and smashed it for Arsenal. Unfortunately, it wasn't that easy for Rashford. A few months before the Euros, it was reported that the United striker had been playing through a variety of injuries. His shoulder, back and feet.
Hold on, shoulder, back and feet. I remember when I was getting onto him them times, I remember saying that he doesn't look like he's playing fit. Like, he looked like he was carrying an injury all the time, but he had to play because they were just struggling with form and availability of like good players, and the good players were letting them down, and he just kept turning up. So if he had shoulder, back and feet injuries, what more can you ask from him?
Were all hurt. ESPN said that he hadn't played a game completely pain-free in over 2 years.
2 years?
So once he got back...
2 years? So you're talking about in that period between 2020, or maybe over that period, a little bit of 2020 and to 2022, he basically was carrying an injury every time he played. I'm assuming that from what this guy's just said.
Back from international duty, club doctors and specialists said that Rashford should have operations as soon as possible. He went in for surgery in late July 2020 and didn't return to training until the 11th of October. That meant that he missed the first 2 months of the 2021-22 season.
Jeez.
Rashford finally made his return on the 16th of October, where he came off the bench and scored against Leicester in his first game back. But the English forward couldn't find form after that. He was inconsistent and found himself dipping in and out of the squad under new manager Ralf Rangnick.
Yeah, I think I was onto him a lot these times. I was thinking, what's going on? Why is he not doing it? And I do understand that players, individually, they got to perform, but a lot of it is to do with your sporting situation, if you've got the right environment for your style of football, or if the right things are happening at your club. And we all know that enough stuff was going on at Man United. Like, it wasn't just him. But I was just concerned that we weren't seeing any progress of the player that we saw when he was coming through. And I know a lot of it weren't his fault, but I only could speak on what was going on at the time and what I could see of him. It's kind of similar to what I think about Pogba, but that's thoughts for another day.
At one point, he went 13 games without scoring. That's not the Marcus Rashford we'd all fallen in love with. The Austrian gaffer still had praise for the striker though, calling him one of the best forwards in England. But it was hard to see where this rebound would come from. He was in a rut. Rashford was becoming more and more upset with every missed shot, and his anger grew as he just couldn't seem to score to save his life. United fans were growing just as restless with his poor performances. It all bubbled over in March 2022 though. After a poor 1-0 loss to Atletico Madrid, he was heckled by his own fans outside of the team bus. He made the bad decision of arguing back with one of the men abusing him, and of course, somebody recorded the altercation. It resulted in Rashford posting a brutally honest statement on Twitter. He admitted that, "Nobody is more critical of my performances than me." It was clear that his mentality was strong and that he would definitely come back stronger. Across the 2021-22 season, he made a total of 24 Premier League appearances, only scoring 4 goals in the process. A season to
4 goals in 24 appearances. Now, I only can imagine. I'm not making excuses or walking back what I'm saying, but I think I remember he was playing left, right, down the middle. He was playing all over the place. Team was different all the time. I think the only player that I can remember that was like consistently good was Bruno, and he's been the same ever since they've got him. So make what you want of that.
forget for both Rashford and United fans in general. Pre-season preparation. So how did the striker manage to hit his stride in the 22-23 season? There were two big factors throughout his pre-season. To start, Rashford only took a very tiny break from his summer preparations. He travelled to the USA for a short holiday.
Look at that. Look, I ain't never seen him dressed like that. Like, I don't know, all them chains, like a star boy. I mean, I'm not a big fan of too much jewelry, but you know, he's doing his thing and he's worked hard. He's getting his money in it. So yeah, do your thing, Rashford.
Holiday in June 2022. First, he spent a week partying with former teammate and close friend Jesse Lingard. They explored nightclubs all around the state before going their separate ways.
Look at them, the man them out, even wearing the same colour.
From there, Rashford travelled to Los Angeles. There, he spent some time with his childhood sweetheart, Lucia Loy. The couple had been together since 2014, where they met during their high school days, and the striker solidified their relationship by proposing to her. It was a
Hold on. Is Rashford engaged? I didn't know that.
perfect way to spend his holiday. But it wasn't celebrations for long for Rashford, as he was spotted in the gym just a
he's looking hench there, shredded and hench, ready for a season still.
few days later back in Miami. The Englishman looked shredded as he worked out with dumbbells in a post on his Instagram story. All of this personal time was great for his mental health, as he had struggled with personal issues following the racial abuse he faced after the Euros. But despite the partying in America, it was clear that he still had his head screwed on tightly, and he looked in the best shape he'd ever been in. A life away from football. Ball isn't all life can be for Marcus Rashford though. He's made some huge political changes in the UK, and he distanced himself.
I really respected what he did during COVID, trying to get all them free school lunches for the kids and that, raising all that money. I think it was wasn't going well for him on the pitch, and I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, just focus on your football," which is to a point, because none of this is possible without what you do on the pitch. But at the same time, it's not going for you well on the pitch. He is contributing to his society, not just his own area and his own charity or whatever he's running. To society, he's trying to make a difference, and you have to respect man for that. I really do, because there's a lot of men before him that never did anything to this scale.
Himself from his poor form by doing more during his pre-season. Rashford teamed up with Macmillan Publishers to help vulnerable and underprivileged children get into reading. They formed a book club which distributed over 50,000 books to poorer children for free. In a statement, the striker said that children should never be robbed of the escapism of reading. Just one of the many reasons why we love him, right? Ten Hag's new favourite. However, the biggest factor regarding Rashford's resurgence was the appointment of Erik ten Hag. The Dutch maestro replaced Rangnick as United manager in the summer, and he immediately saw something new in our boy. While Ronaldo was too busy being a crybaby and trying to get out of his contract, Rashford was waiting in the ranks. Ten Hag trusted him at centre forward to replace the GOAT.
Do you know, this goes against the rhetoric or whatever was put out. When Ronaldo come, he was saying that most of these young guys are not putting in the extra work, don't want to stay behind, don't want to improve, like in the way that he did when he was younger. And I assumed when that come out that he was one of them. Him, Sancho, any of these players, Martial, that these guys weren't putting in the work to be better or to improve their situation. So if it isn't going well on the pitch, I always assumed you just work hard in training, in your own free time, doing the extras, trying to, find improvement, so to speak. Because if you ain't got form, you can always have effort. But it looks like I was wrong, or whatever was put out that led me to think that he was one of them. As you saw in earlier in the video, my guy was putting in that work in pre-season, and even the change in his body is showing the work that he's put in.
Sized hole in United's attack force. He had previously been playing as a left winger, and so it was something completely different for the Englishman, but it worked. Rashford transformed.
Yeah, this is where this season, he played down the middle for a stretch of games and he was good. And I was thinking to myself, is he going to be a centre forward now? But as I was reading different things, I was just reading, that's all I can do. And he was saying that, like, it was saying, not him, it was saying that he really wanted to play down the left and not down the middle. And recently he has gone back onto the left and he's still doing his thing. So that pre-season really put him in a good spot physically and mentally.
Into a beast of a striker. Liverpool were the first to feel the effect of his comeback as he opened his account with a goal in United's 2-1 win over the Reds. He followed it up with a further 2 goals in a 3-1 win against Arsenal, and by October he had already matched his goal total from last season. It took him just 12 games to do so. On the 30th of October, Rashford scored his 100th goal for Manchester United.
And you see that, yeah. No matter what I say, anyone says, there's a lot of players, say there's Wayne Rooney in that shot, that played for Man United, and attackers that can't say they've scored 100 goals for Man United. Even like players like Martial, that probably come a little bit after him, but have been there for a while, can't say they've scored 100 goals. So no matter what, no one can ever take that away from him.
That made him the 22nd player in history to reach the figure, and the first person to do so since Wayne Rooney 13 years ago. He was on fire. Not only was he bagging goals for fun, but he was also playing with a smile on his face. His genuine happiness while he was running around the pitch must have been heartwarming for United fans worldwide. And in what could be the biggest show of trust for Rashford's newfound form, he was offered a 1-year extension on his contract in late December. Could we have ever predicted that at the end of last season? A slip up, sleep in. But as good as Rashford has been, even he isn't immune to making some disciplinary mistakes. On New Year's Eve, he was dropped to the subs bench ahead of a game against Wolverhampton Wanderers. It seemed like an odd tactical decision, seeing as the striker had been in red-hot form. Nevertheless, Rashford was subbed on and he scored the only goal in a 1-0 win.
I didn't know that. I just assumed he was arrested him because he was just on fire and they didn't want to burn him out. And it was like early on in the season and you're just trying to guard him a bit from injury, etc. But it looks like it was his own fault.
Even more baffling, but all was revealed after the game in Rashford's post-match conference. He was embarrassed to admit that he'd been dropped due to oversleeping and being late for a team meeting.
Oh my days, so you're telling me he was late, he got dropped, he come off the bench, scored the winning goal, and still in the post-match interview admitted to it, took full responsibility, and still is the man. You have to put your hands up and say, look, this is a guy, he's becoming the man, because there isn't a lot of people that's gonna be honest and put that out to the public that's what went on. And it's kind of good to see. I'm going to go back and watch that interview.
It just goes to show that everyone makes mistakes, and this small little blip has clearly had no effect on his momentum. His new form is a testament to his mentality and ability to bounce back. Don't be surprised to...
That's mad. I didn't know all of that. I didn't know that he played. Like, I thought he was injured, but I didn't know he played with a back. What was it? A back, shoulder, and foot injuries throughout those seasons, and they said he wasn't fit for 2 years, like playing injury free. So, like I had an opinion on him back then, and I was saying this and that. Is he gonna become what I think he's going to become? But based on the work that he's put in and the form that he's got, he seems to be living up to the talent that he's got. But you can only imagine now, if he goes on to play this season playing at this level, next season and the following season, maybe we'll be saying he's world class. Maybe he'll be scoring 20-25 league goals a season from the left side. Maybe he'll be smashing the goals in for England, because on that left side we got Grealish and we had Sterling, and they're both good players. But Rashford has got that directness and that goal scoring edge to him that Sterling never really had. Sterling can score goals, don't get me wrong, he does score goals and he's a quality player, but he's different. He's more going to beat you 1v1. Rashford's got a bit of that in him, but he's got the goal scoring, he's got the powerful shot. The goal that I remember most recently is where he dropped the shoulder and nutmegged Partey, I think, and then smashed it in the near post. And I just looked at him and I thought, that shot was a bit like Ronaldo, just brute force power into the goal. You know, there was more space, I think, on the other side. I can't really remember properly, but he's showing that, like, he's really about it this season. So I just want to say, Rashford, keep doing your thing, because you're really, really showing us, or showing me, that you're really about it now. Anyway, thanks for watching.